Hi guys, welcome to Popcorn and Gore Gothic Grindhouse. I'll be going over a couple of my sci-fi, fantasy, and action adventure collection media. And this is going to be part one. So guys, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And let's get into some movies. Got a huge haul here for you guys that I don't want to pull off my shelf and review them. This will be part one of my sci-fi, fantasy, and action adventure. And then the rest I will do on a second tour because this is going to be so much of a massive wheel that I kind of want to kind of get into you guys with some of my favorites. So these are my favorites right here that I'm going to show y'all what I'm watching predominantly on my, favorites list wheel. I always do double features in here, as y'all always know. And I'm on a sci-fi binge for real. So, well, sci-fi fantasy binge, just taking a break from classic sci-fi. We're moving up to sci-fi fantasy from the early 2000s to 1990s. So I'm going to get to some of my few features that I did had rolling and show y'all guys kind of what some of the features that I do have for this particular lineup. And thank y'all guys for checking me out. Don't forget, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. So we're going to be briefly going over some of my sci-fi and show y'all guys what I have already lined up. Along with some of my VHS titles too also, of my favorites. I'll be ordering more from Amazon to... Remember, guys, I told you that I was going to be creating a theme shelf, so I'm ordering more VHS and DVDs, so that way I can pretty much get this third shelf already put together. But this will be the sci-fi fantasy, guys, so let's get into it. All right, guys, first up, we're going to get into it. Charlize Theron, Atomic Blonde. Sorry for the glare, guys, but... man, I'm in love with Charlize. I've always been in love with her. She's pretty badass. It's like I pretty much checked out a lot of tutorials yesterday trying to get everything all set up for my sci-fi fantasy. Because every time I get to this particular section of sci-fi fantasy, it's a huge big deal because I had to go all the way back to 98 and pull out a lot of other features too also. I'm not going to name them because I'm waiting for them to come in from Amazon. And when they do, I will let y'all guys know. So this is my favorites. Let's get into it. This one is the 4K and also the Blu-ray edition of Atomic Blonde. Been in love with Charlize for a while. Ever since I've seen this particular movie, I really fell in love with her. Then I love the lighting. I love her action play because she does her own stunts. And man, it's just totally badass the way how she just kicks total ass in this whole entire feature. And this is one that I predominantly have in my collection that I roll predominantly all the time. And nobody nails it better than her. Plus, she looks hot. And who gets to kick ass in a Dior outfit and just totally destroys the whole character? I mean, she's really like so badass. So she's my first time pick. And she made it as my thumbnail. That's how bad it is. Because usually I'm a huge Angelina Jolie fan. But she ranks up there next to Angelina Jolie. And this also, like I said, is the Blu-ray and digital copy. There's the Blu-ray, and there's the digital copy of it. And this is the slip jacket. Beautifully done. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Sexy kicking ass fun. They don't lie when they say that. When they say that sexy ass kicking fun, because that's exactly how I felt. I basically didn't make it through the movie because I was so much in love with just seeing her on the screen. Every time she just does something, man, I'm just like, God damn, this broad is sexy. I can imagine me just being married to her. She get to kick my ass every morning. That would be so badass. Just to start a fight with her. See her kick the hell out of me like how she did that guy. I mean, she beat his ass all the way down to the steps and then jumped down and then finished him off. She's bad as shit. This is ultimate. And I did a review before on my ultimates when it comes to sci-fi fantasy and stuff like that. So guys, check out my other videos that I do have up on this channel of my all-time favorites, binge watches and stuff like that. So thank y'all guys for all y'all support y'all been giving me, and feel free to click that like button and subscribe. But these are my favorites, and I'm just going over my favorites, and Charlize is damn sure one of my favorites. So yeah, and this is the Blu-ray, digital, and 4K copy. And this is a slipcover. So yeah, Charlize Theron. All right, so next up we have Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Jolie was always my favorite at first. She still is. And with her and Brad Pitt together, it's just like a total nightmare. I mean, you're still alive, baby? I mean, she kicks his fucking ass and he kicks her fucking ass, and then they turn around and kick everybody else's ass. Jolie is the shit, okay? And you will know it. Brad is a beast because he's like, his character is just so smooth. And the guy busts in, he goes, well, man, I thought you were the job. No, you are the job. I was like, wow. And he just wears his ass out. It was pretty cool. Total kick-ass fun. So, this is like my ultimate favorites of all that I have here that you see. I have more. Like I said, this is going to be part 1 because this is so much of a wheel that I'm going to have to do it in 2 parts. So, yeah. So these are my favorites that I'm pulling out. Mrs. and Mrs. Smith. Jolie's always hot, of course. So that's why she ranks up there with Charlize Theron. And there's others, so stay tuned. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Where can I begin on this ultimate tag team hitman, hitwoman duel of a ultimate couple? Turned against each other through the DIA and set up by various key members. And turns out that they both were assigned to do a hit on both each other. What not better than that? Yeah. Ultimate hit team. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. All right, so next up, because I'm grabbing them out of a different pile, the Dawn Seeker. Another one of my favorites. Post-apocalyptic type of film. It's just very, very... I like the setting. I like the story plot. The girl that plays Phoenix is pretty badass. Where's her name? Yeah, Francesca. Well, I'll pronounce her last name, but Francesca. She's bad as shit. She plays Phoenix. And this entire... There's Phoenix there. This is pretty badass. I got this up there with Battlestar Galactica because that's how bad it was. Special effects are awesome. Story plot is awesome. Character realization is awesome. The costumes. I mean, just about everything you would want in a movie. And I remember when I first picked this up, because I had this for a while. I'm just doing a review on my entire collection. Guys, check out my other reviews that I do also have on my channel. And feel free to leave me some comments on some movies that you like as far as sci-fi fantasy and action adventure. So this will be my part 1. So the Dawn Seeker, when I first seen it on the shelf, I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe I might pick this up. But then I started reading. Then I pulled out my phone and watched the trailer. I was like, that is it. It reminded me of Battlestar Galactica and Farscape and just about everything all in one. And sure enough, it delivered. The Dawn Seeker. And it was badass. Yeah, so I had to do a review on this. Totally awesome. And as you can see, they gives it 5 stars, of course. It has the behind-the-scenes special features, which is also bad too, guys. So if you're getting this, you got to check out the behind-the-scenes because they show you how she does her stunts and how they choreograph the whole thing and then map it to the screen and add in CG. This is the way how you do CG, because I'm an inspired film director myself, working on my own independent film called Uncharted. And this is the proper way how you use special effects CG. So guys, don't forget, check out the behind the scenes and the cast reviews on this particular feature, the Dawn Seeker. It does offer a lot. So I don't know if y'all guys really do that, because I'm the only one that pretty much tried to get in depth and deep on the director standpoint on this particular channel, because I like the way how they do give up a lot of advice and stuff like that. And they're not the only one who does that. There's a lot of other feature films that I do have in here, because that's the first thing I run to is the behind the scenes. And I mainly, when I buy Blu-rays and DVDs, I'm looking for special features. The film is okay. Of course, the film is, that's what you're getting it for, but I'm mainly in it for the special features. And trailers, of course, because I love trailers. So, the Dawn Seeker. All right, so next up, we have Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome. Now, this is also a spin-off of the actual movie, because they turned this into a miniseries. I haven't watched it yet, but it's pretty much badass. I did watch some of the trailers and stuff like that, because like I said, I do my research and homework on some of these medias before I do a review, because there's things that change. Because I remember when I grabbed this, I was like, I wonder if this is going to be good too, because it's like, sometimes when you grab stuff, you don't know if it's going to be good or not. But specifically, this bin right over here, I'll get to that next. But yeah, Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome was the ultimate, and it did live up to its promise. I did end up checking out the trailer on the Admiral. I think he took over, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, this miniseries is badass. And it's explosive, never before seen, unrated edition. And they mean that too, cool, and it's pretty badass. Post-apocalyptic again. And the special features are badass. And the deleted scenes are also a bonus plus too, also, because it was like a lot of stuff it didn't use. And I wish they kind of had put it in there, because it would have made it more drawn out than anything else. But they did good for what they came up with, because it was pretty much badass. So yeah, the Cylons and wage war across the galaxy, and they had to pretty much defend the galaxy, just like how Buck Rogers. I don't know if y'all guys grew up. I grew up watching Buck Rogers in the 21st century. The same thing happened with the gorgeous and talented Erin Gray was in it as the commander, because I was in love with her too back in the day. And I don't know if y'all guys remember that other show too, also called The V, which was also my favorites. And I have a lot of other stuff in here too. Also, I do have Space 1999. I do have The Invaders. I mean, I have just about everything in here, but this is my sci-fi fantasy part 1 favorites. Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome lives up to its hype. And like I said, the characters were badass, especially him right here. I mean, he was pretty badass, even though he was tricked, because the lady had smuggled a alien on board, and she had him jettisoned into the planet. And when they landed down to the planet, he was falsely led to believe that she was on his side. I don't like to be a spoiler, guys, but I just kind of give you a quick synopsis of it. I don't want to say and tell you all the more. I'll let other people do that. But for this particular section, Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome lives up to its hype. And I decided to do a up close and personal standpoint on all of my favorites. And like I said, the special features are badass. So you guys can pause it right here to check out the entire situation between the Cylon War and the battle between the humans. Created a silent robotic sort of a war against the galaxy, and this one fighter group vowed to destroy them, even though they lost their main starship, their main battleship, which was pretty badass because the explosion was pretty cool. I like how they had the jettison off of it before the whole thing had landed. Like I say, this is how you use CG again, and I'm just pleased to have this in my collection. And this is the unrated edition, Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome. Okay, next up, guys. Of course, you know this is a triple feature 3 DVD set. Stormtrip Troopers, Stormtroopers 2, Starship Troopers 3, Marauder. And these are some of the features. I'm a huge fan of this. I do also have the VHS too also. Hey guys, so here's the VHS. I tried to clean it off and made a little mess on it, but I'm gonna be ordering another one. I got another one ordered from eBay. That way I can just change the jacket. But the disc itself, the tape itself is pretty in good condition. I had this for a while, and like I said, it's in pretty much good condition. Take it out of the box so you can show you guys. As you can see, no mode, no nothing. Actually, no mode is on none of my tapes because I take care of my tapes. Like I put them up, and I make sure that they're all taken care of. As you can see, the magnetic strip is pretty much even. Everything is badass. So like I said, all I got to do is just replace the jacket. Yeah, so it's totally badass, and this is part 1. The only good bug is a dead bug. And it's pretty badass too. Also, the special features were awesome. I like how the guy says, this is a ugly planet, this is a bug planet. He said, let's get out of here, let's get out of here. And he wants to fall back. She comes out of nowhere and saves his ass because she's always in love with him anyway. She just loves Rico, but there's other people that love Rico too. But she really held it down for Rico, even though his other friend kind of left him, which I hated her for doing that when she actually left Rico and sent him a message on a star clip and saying that she was leaving and they needed to kind of break up. And because she wanted to be a pilot, and she was going to flight school to be with this other guy, and then she ended up getting with him because they were there. So they decided to move on, even though they were childhood friends and everything else. But she stayed with Rico and made sure that when he graduated to squad commander, that she was right there behind him, and she was tough. That's why I liked that character. So yeah, so as in part 2, it was there's part 2 there. Part 2 really didn't do it for me, but I ended up adapting to it later on because I was like, well, these bugs are still running wild. Fuck it, you know what I mean? It's just like whatever. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So I didn't know what they were gonna do with these bugs because they were studying the bugs. They captured the main brain bug, trying to run experiments on them, and just couldn't nail it down. They didn't really exterminate them until part 3, when he really put it down. And I like how them two kind of got into it because they were all friends, and he got killed. He got killed because he became an admiral, and he got killed. And then next, Rico stepped up, and then he just said, you know what, I'm gonna create these race of robots, and then we're gonna use them to destroy the bug. And it was pretty cool. So this remained a staple in my collection. Starship Troopers 1, Starship Troopers 2, and Starship Troopers 3. Keep in mind, guys, service guaranteed citizenship. Want to know more? Next up, of course, everybody grew up on this, Aliens 1 and Aliens 2. Sigourney Weaver was another of my favorites. She also was also in love with Sigourney Weaver years ago. I thought she was bad. I got this thing for female characters. It's just totally weird because they think they make the best characters when it comes to any particular movie, rather it be anything. Because actually you can just look around and you can see nothing but this female characters. And there's male characters too also that I do have as my favorites. But Sigourney Weaver kind of pretty much did it for me. On part 1, she did say that there were thousands and thousands of eggs there, and she lost half of her crew when she landed down there on colony LV 426, and then she told them that the guy came, saw thousands of eggs in the spaceship, and later on he ended up coming back to the spaceship with something attached to his face. It seemed to be a parasite. She said later on Kane seemed fine. but then it sort of laid some sort of egg in his throat and gestated in his stomach and burst through his chest, and it was a monster which has acid for blood. They threw her ass into a psychiatric ward and took her license away and told her she was unfit to hold a classification license, and she was no longer fit to be in command, and told her that she was relieved through Starfleet, and that she had to pretty much have reviewed by an ICC technician on a monthly review. God, Lewin, he was an asshole, I'll tell you that. But Bishop, which was a android, not Bishop, but he was the first android from the first model. He did actually fail, had some problems. He was part of the Hybridon Systems A2, since they were a little bit twitchy because they didn't have behavioral abilities as far as adapting to humans. They were known to snap on you and change up on you. So in Aliens 2, Bishop came along because he was part of the new model, and with his new behavioral modifications, he would not allow himself to harm a human. Of course, Sigourney Weaver had survived the trip after being in hyperspace for 57 years. Spent all of her spent decades and decades of her life in space floating, and was found by a Deep Savage team, which also had took her back to the base, and they couldn't corroborate her story, but then they ended up turning around asking her could they go back out there because they lost contact with colony LV-426, which was a colonized population at the time, and they were getting into terraforming, where they were setting up these big air processors, and they were trying to make the air breathable to fix decades. It's what they call the shake and bake colony, according to his asshole at Lewin, and then he was just another asshole. So she had to team up with the Marines again and go back in and kick their ass. And would not be able to pair it up with the guy who played in the Terminator. So I thought that was pretty cool. So Aliens 2 rocks. Sigourney Weaver is also my fave, so she goes next up. Part 1 and Part 2. Alright, so next up is Aliens 3. Later on, they had to grow on me because I was like, wow, this is pretty badass. And then I started to look at the character too also, and then to see why they kind of changed the story around just a little bit, and ended up just adopting to me after a while. But I ended up just checking out the special features to find out why they were actually trying to fuck with the script. And this is the 2003 special edition and it includes also the 1992 theatrical version also. And it's pretty badass. Aliens 3. Next up, Alien Resurrection, which was pretty cool. They had Winona Ryder also playing in this one too also, which was not bad. And the other one, they had Charles S. Dutton playing in that other one. The one I just showed you before. But then this one, they had Winona Ryder plays in this one too also. And the theatrical release from 1997 and 2003 are also on here too also. And it's pretty much badass. Aliens Resurrection. All right, so next up, we have Prometheus, which is another one of my favorites too also. I love the cast. Of course, I love Charlize Theron because this is why she's in it. And I also do like the whole entire cast. But I didn't like the fact that Ripley kind of did Shaw that way, because after all that she went through, I thought it was kind of dumb that you're going to kind of kill Shaw off and do what the fuck you want to do. And that's like, I just totally lost it on this one. And this is a combo pack which includes the Blu-ray and DVD and digital copy. And this is what's all, particularly on here, as far as the special features and all. But yeah, Prometheus. But I think Charlize Theron did a good portion of her character, and plus she looks gorgeous in a suit. All right, so next up we have Survivor. Survivor is also one of my favorites too. Also starring Kevin Sorbo and Danielle. This is also another one that kind of like would lead you down to a path that you can see how Kevin Sorbo always plays a good part in all of his movies. And it's funny because he's also featured in here too as the boss in Bitch Slap. So Kevin Sorbo is pretty much in everything. But Danielle does a good character. She does live up to her responsibilities. The special effects are awesome. Behind the scenes stuff are pretty much good. I like the way how they use the CG in combination with the still effects and their up shots, with their up and close and personal shots of them when they're not using CG. It's totally badass too. Also because they can hold out their hand and they got virtual things that appear on the screen. I mean, it's just totally badass. It kind of reminds you of Andromeda. Totally badass. And this girl's the only one who survived out of the whole entire lineup. And then Kevin Sorbo is telling her one day it's going to turn real, where mankind is going to really have to step up. And we have to defend the planet. And when that time comes, can you handle that? And everybody in her class died besides her. So yes, she is a survivor. Totally badass. One of my favorites. And the guy who played that creature too also was pretty cool too also. All right, so next up we have Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. Of course, you know I'm an Angelina Jolie fan, and I kind of love Angelina Jolie. This is my part 1, guys, because this haul is going to be so big that I may have to end up doing a part 2 of this. And this is my sci-fi fantasy favorites, fantasy and action adventure. So it's going to be a part 2, sci-fi fantasy action and adventure. So this is part 1, guys. Don't forget, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And don't forget to check out other media I do have on my channel. Lara Croft's Tomb Raider. I remember the first time I seen this. It was pretty cool. Angelina, she's just so sexy as usual. And the outfit is totally badass. And I like the fact that they gave her 2 guns. And she just goes through this whole entire movie just blasting motherfuckers in the air and then running through tombs. It was the ultimate. I didn't go to the movies to see this, but like I said, I ended up just getting it on VHS at the time and just watching it at home. And the special features are awesome. They do also have some behind the scenes of her in the making of the film and all that kind of good stuff. It was totally badass. And it does have a DVD-ROM featurette, which is also on here too, compiled on the disc, where they show you some of the expansions that they done. And it's in English, Dolby DTS 5.1, which is good because it sounds good on my system. And of course, it's PG-13, which is kind of weird because I thought that some stuff was in here that was a little bit out of PG-13 in a way, but nobody really cared because they were in it to see her body shape. You know, that nobody really gave a fuck about anything else. They just wanted to see her in a short skirt or a short outfit and then see her just run around and doing what she was doing. Angelina Jolie was the truth, still is the truth. When she first came out, everybody was Jolie fan. And the merchandising that she collected and everything else, you know, that a lot of people have. So I think some of my friends also do have the lunchbox, stuff like that they did have for hers. I didn't end up getting all that stuff because I was too busy just buying VHS and stuff like that at the time. And now I'm trying to do a theme shelf. So I will do some memorabilia on Angelina Jolie. So these are my favorites, guys. So these are all going to be, they're on my shelf anyway, but they're going to be going back to another shelf and put in order. And there's going to be a media theme shelf on that particular medium theme shelf because I have 2 sections here for sci-fi fantasy. And there's another section for action adventure. So it's split in between 2 parts. So right now, all this is considered part of the 2, part 1. Lara Croft's Tomb Raider. Totally badass. All right, so next up we have another one of my favorites. Lita Jovovich, Ultraviolet. Totally badass. Man, when I seen her, it was just like, what the hell? She really kicked ass too also. She was one of my favorites too also that I pretty much adopted with, and the special feature are totally awesome too also. Huge way to use CGI, which, like I tell you again, and then she's from the Resident Evil trilogy anyway, which I do have. But like I say, I'm just doing my favorites because I wasn't really a Resident Evil fan. I mostly had the game and play because right now I'm still playing Resident Evil 3, and I do have Resident Evil 4 on my GameCube. So when I started playing Resident Evil 4, it just kind of brought back memories of that. So I just said, I'm gonna do a ultimate feature on her, and she's gonna be in my favorites. And this is the theatrical cut, which is also amazing. Ultraviolet. Next up again, Charlize Theron, Eon Flux. I seen a backstage documentary that she did. She actually hated this film. She said it was the worst film that she ever done. But I think it was nice. Her and Sathandra together, running around, trying to stop the good child regime from doing what they were doing to society by taking people's dreams and then putting them into file cabinets and stuff like that, and then putting them up in the air in this big cloud for storage, and then they didn't have access to their own dreams. They wanted them to live in a society where they were free to run around, and some people that you would see will end up missing them because they would turn them into doubles and stuff like that. It was totally badass, and her character was awesome. And as always, she looks gorgeous in whatever she wears. The special features are awesome. And I had a chance to check out some of the special features, trailers and stuff like that she had did, behind the scenes artwork and other things that she did. Like I said, this film, she didn't pretty much like this film, but I pretty much did. And obviously her fans did too also. So, and the one thing I like about it, it was in full screen versus the other people was in letterbox, because I hate letterbox films. And sometimes I'll tolerate it only because, like some films with Theron is in letterbox. Actually, Atomic Blonde is in letterbox, but I'll tolerate it because that's my baby, Charlize. Eon Flux. Next up, Weird Science. I remember the first time I got this on VHS. This is going to be a story here too also. I remember the first time I got this on VHS, I brought it home and I just watched it. I was like, wow, I wish I could make a fucking doll like this. Kelly LeBrock rocks. Everybody loved her back in the days. I remember we used to go to school, and I used to just sit and dream about her, because every time I would watch it, I was like, just fall asleep, like, wow, I wish I could just create a doll like that. I mean, what the hell? And I checked out the commentary for the directors. He says he's gonna let his private parts direct the movie, and he did, because he was like, he just wanted to go private part madness. If y'all guys know what I mean, it's like he just wanted to just do an ultimate tribute to Sleaze, which was pretty cool. And I didn't watch the cast reunion yet, because they did have a cast reunion. I didn't get a chance to check that out. But what I will do is, because I looked it up yesterday, I will be ordering the steelbook, which contains the booklet too, also of Weird Science, and the featurettes of how the film was and all the behind the scenes stuff like that. So I'll be ordering the steelbook next. But this is the high school reunion collection, and I thought that Kelly LeBrock at the time was totally badass, and Gary and Wyatt was totally badass too. Like he says, "Ma, I never tossed off. Ma." She goes, "Gary, you told me you were in there combing your hair." He said, "Ma, I never tossed off anything. Everything." Sit down, Lucy. Give me the phone. Dial the police. I want you to give me the phone. She pulls out this big ass 357. He goes, "Make my day? Yeah. I'm taking Gary to a party." This shit was so badass. Weird Science. Then make yourself one, dude. All right, so next up is Serenity. I love Gina Davis. Gina Torres is in this one. I keep thinking of the other one, which is coming up next. This one is totally badass too also. I like the little character. She goes, "I think I swallowed a bug." And it was totally badass. And the ship is named Serenity too also, because it survived the colony wars. And usage of CG was totally badass too. Also, sorry about the mirror tint, guys, because it has the shading on the box, which is kind of like 3D retro. It's totally badass. And this became one of my classics too, also Serenity. And like I say, the action play and everything else is totally badass. And yeah, totally one of my favorites, Serenity. All right, so next up, guys, is Robot Overlords, which is also another one of my favorites too. Also, post-apocalyptic again, and it's kind of crazy because it's like you can't go out of your house, can't do anything else. And the robots, once you're outside, the robot's going to give you a couple minutes before you can get yourself together. You have to get to safety before. If not, you will be killed. These robots was badass. And it's crazy because they were going around trying to pair this up with the Transformers meets Doctor Who, which was the truth because it did remind you of that. So they weren't lying at all. Total uses of CG. And I like how they turned this thing out into like almost like a Harry Potter type of thing. And then 1 minute, and then the next minute is Doctor Who. The next minute is Transformers, and the next minute it's back to, I would guess, what's that other movie that I pretty much have? Because it'll be coming up in a minute. It's kind of like in line with Prometheus, but it kind of reminds me of that. And then I think I did a double feature on that too, also. So yeah, Robot Overlords. They were sent to check out this colony, and she won a Globe and Gold Award too, also Academy Award too, also Ben Kingsley, Gillian Andrews. It's pretty badass too. Also, mankind may fall, heroes will rise, and it was cool too. Also, because that little dude, he reminds you of Harry Potter, and she reminds you of the little girl that was hanging around Harry Potter. So now I see why they would say Doctor Who meets. This kind of was badass. Yeah. Robot Overlords. All right, so next up in my feature will be Gods of Egypt, which is another one of my favorites too, also. When I first saw this, I was like, wow, okay, he's going to fight cities? Like, really? And then all of a sudden, when the snake came out, I was like, wow, this is really badass. And then I'm like, those gods right there that you see, those legions, they kind of remind you of the Unsullied, which was kind of crazy. Massive usage of CG, which is totally my favorite. That's why it's like, all this is my favorite too. Also, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. But yeah, massive amounts of CG. Gods of Egypt. Totally my favorite. And then you got two of the baddest warriors that were in a lot of features. One's from Game of Thrones, other one's from 300. Both put together in one feature film. Wow. Totally badass. Gods of Egypt. All right, guys, so next up, we have Osiris, the Osiris child, which is another one of my favorites too. Also, the slip color is pretty badass. You guys gotta get a chance, you gotta check this out. He spends most of his time trying to protect his child. And it's a post-apocalyptic type of film. Gorgeous set. Nice usage of CG. And they're trying to provide protection between the planets because everybody's been imprisoned and they kind of want to create a new world. And this is Science Fiction Volume 1. And it's pretty cool. It's also a Blu-ray and DVD combo. Isabel Lucas and Raphael Griffiths and Danielle and everybody else. Killian Lutz, which is pretty badass too also. This is one of those ones you can put in and kind of just get lost in the story plot. It's pretty much badass, and the special features predominantly tell you a little bit more because I don't want to kind of ruin it for anybody. I kind of want y'all guys to check it out, so I'll just go ahead and show y'all what it's about. Give y'all a brief tutorial of it, but just check it out. I remember when I first picked this up, I was wondering, I wonder if it's going to be pretty good. So what I did is I pulled out my phone as usual whenever I'm in Best Buy or a Walmart, because I actually got this from Walmart, and I was like, I'm just going to see what it is on my phone. And then when I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like the script, and it makes predominantly good sense. the Osiris child. You got to check this out. Got to get this. And the slipcover is pretty badass. Like I say, it's a Blu-ray plus DVD. It's pretty badass. The Osiris Child, Science Fiction Volume 1. All right, so next up is Frank Grillo's Beyond Skyline, which is another one. Special effects are totally awesome, especially on my 65-inch. Man, this stuff really rocks. And when the creature comes, I mean, when this dude comes, I mean, this thing is bad, man. Shit. And it's funny because these are letterbox film, which I know I hate letterbox, but they look really, really good. And I see why they went for a wider lens, because you can contain in a wider area, especially when you're shooting this particular scene. There's a lot of CG. They kind of want as much image, well, as many pixels as they can postly on the screen. And so to tighten it all up, you would just spread the lens out and predominantly, I use a wider lens anyway. You get more screen real estate. But to me, I like the full screen. But it did do a lot of good justice because of the way how they use the special features and all that kind of good stuff. And they had different things that happened. And they gave it 4 stars. As you can see, it's beyond awesome. So the movie Elite. And it does really live up to its promise of delivering action. So that's why I had to release it as my features. Favorites. Don't forget, guys, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. If you like what I pretty much show on my channel, check out other reviews that I do have also on the channel. This is my part 1 of my sci-fi, fantasy, and action adventure. Stay tuned, guys, for part 2. But yeah, Beyond Skyline. And it's pretty badass because when these monstrous creatures come, it's like it's totally badass. You can tell, you know, look at the detail of the CGI usage. I mean, you could tell this thing is just wow. And then it's really cool because it's like you're looking at the lower level of the skyline, and to see something like this walking on the planet is just like totally badass. And everybody's trying to just blow this thing out of the air, and nothing never works. I mean, they're just running. Wow. I mean, I can't say not enough about this film. This is totally badass. Beyond Skyline. I mean, he really did this thing up. Like they said, beyond. You see that word, beyond awesome? They ain't lying. Check this shit out, guys. Beyond Skyline. Fucking rocks. Another one that lives up to its promise too, also, The Fifth Wave, is also pretty much badass. I thought it was kind of crazy because when the sky kind of got dark, this big-ass ship just kind of came out of nowhere with a huge usage of CG. Man, they really did this thing up really good. It's a shame because movies are not like this no more. And it seems like the movies now are just like everybody's remaking stuff. And it just seems like it just doesn't do a good job for me as far as wanting to pick anything up. I mean, everything is just recycled stuff from stuff that was already out before. So this is a reason why, guys, you know, you got to have a collection because when streaming is not enough and you kind of want to just go down and watch it now, you don't want any limitations. You just kind of want to go and just watch it. This is where collecting comes in handy. So shout out to all my media collector friends if you're watching my channel. And don't forget to click that like button and subscribe if you like what I have here. That fits my part 1 of my favorite features of sci-fi fantasy. And feel free to leave me some comments on what you like if you saw this movie too also. But if you look at it, it kind of reminds you of The Last of Us in a way, because that's what I got when I first saw this. I was like, wow, this reminds me of Last of Us, because this girl had to survive, you know, and there was going to be a fifth wave that's going to come. You know, like, I don't want to kind of ruin it for anybody, but yeah, you got to check this out. And what I recommend you do is pop the previews in, because I'm a huge guy who likes trailers. Like I say, I'm an independent film director myself, working on my own independent film called Uncharted. And I love trailers. And I love double features. And I love just, you know, anything about movies or collecting and stuff like that. I've been collecting since I was 18. And my love for VHS, it pretty much started in the early 80s. And I started to collect feature films that were available at the time. I wasn't hugely into Betamax or Laserdisc, but I knew that VHS was going to be the future. So that's why I opted for a VHS. And my mom was like, that's it, we're getting a VHS. And everybody was glued to the TV. And the next thing I know, we were movies parties every week. And we were going to Earl's Video, Blockbuster Video, West Coast Video, mom and pop shops. I mean, just buying movies like every week. And then It used to be this department store called Ames, and they had tapes where you could go and you could buy VHS tapes. So a lot of the tapes that I did have, I still have to this day, and some I lost over the years. So instead of just going back over that, what I'm gonna do is create a theater shelf and create a theme shelf, and then put all the stuff on. I'll get more in depth into this as we go along into this massive favorites collection. But the Fifth Wave, totally badass. Got to check it out. And I recommend you pop in the trailer first, so that way you can get a up close and personal experience with this film. Trailers on these particular films, or all these films I do have here, does make a difference. Unlike these days with these trailers that they got, I don't know what they got going on with these trailers. It's like it's totally half-assed, it doesn't really do anything, and then everything is being remade into something. But you can bet the Fifth Wave will do the job for you. Check it out. All right, so next up, this is that film that I was telling you about called Pacific Rim. This Robot Warriors kind of reminds me of Pacific Rim. And it's funny because I did these as a double feature both together. And I showed them to my buddies, and he was like, man, you're right. Because it's like they were doing the same thing. They were inside of these robots, and he was inside of these robots. And this Pacific Rim particular one is a combo pack because it also contains the Blu-ray. And Robot Overlords is a single disc DVD copy. And yeah, it totally is badass. So let me show you guys about Pacific Rim. Okay, so with Pacific Rim, it's a double combo pack where it contains the DVD and it contains the Blu-ray. And it also has bonus special features and kind of all that good stuff. It has all the artwork that pretty much boasts a lot about the movie too, also on the back, which I thought is pretty cool. Doesn't have a reversible artwork cover, but it does have enough information on it to let you guys see predominantly what's going on in the film. I don't know if y'all guys can check that out, but it's very, very small writing. And yeah, Pacific Rim is pretty cool. And the same guy who plays in this one does play with in Prometheus. Trying to remember his name. Let me come to me in a minute what his name is. Trying to look for his name on here. But yeah, because he played in Prometheus. That's pretty badass. So if you guys can take a look, you can kind of see who's starring in this. All right. Pacific Rim, gotta check this out. It's totally badass. They were trying to protect the colony too, also, which is pretty cool. When this particular kaiju had came through and made himself through the wall and broke the defense shield, so they had to kind of come up with some kind of line of defense. And this is what they try to do by setting up these machines that will stop the onslaught of them from taking over Pacific Rim. It does really lived up to its promise. And like I said, so does Robot Warriors, Overlords. Okay, so next up, which is my favorite too also, Gina Davis and Matthew Modine as in Cutthroat Island. Y'all remember Gina Davis from Beetlejuice? And she played a good captain's daughter in this particular one right here, where she's going through the scene and she's doing all these little stunts and stuff like that. And it kind of reminds you of Captain Hook. And then on 1 minute and the next minute, it kind of reminds you of this other one that was pretty out too, also called The Time Bandits, which I do also have. So yeah, Gina Davis, Cutthroat Island. Like I said, she's pretty badass in this particular one. She's trying to get Captain Jack's treasure, so they go running around through the ship. And I like how they use the CG in this one too, because it's also badass. The way they use the CG in this particular one. She's going from ship to ship, and it's kind of, and her stunts are cool too, also because she's jumping on stuff, she's swinging off the balance, she's jumping in the water. She's really all over this fucking film. Cutthroat fucking Island. What? I was turned out because I didn't know if I was watching the Goonies or not. And I mean, this was weird. In a separate edition, I will have this teamed up with goodies. Don't forget, guys, look out for my part 2. This is part 1 of my sci-fi fantasy wheel, sci-fi fantasy and action. Stay tuned next for sci-fi fantasy and action 2 coming up. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe, guys, if you like what I do. And leave me some comments on some of the stuff that I'm doing here and let me know if you've been watching these films and what you like in reference to all these films. But yeah, Cutthroat Island is totally my favorite. And it's just a single Blu-ray. It's not a combo pack, and it's not definitely reversible artwork. I had this for a total while. And it was so crazy because when I first got it, I was so happy to get it that I ran a knife through it and totally slashed the box. Well, the jacket of the jacket of the case. And it was so crazy because I wanted to open it up so bad and watch it because I'm a huge fan of Geena Davis. Cutthroat Island, baby. All right, so next up we have Time Bandits, which is another one of my favorites too. Also, I love Sean Connery, and I love the cast, and I love the way how they kind of had that. So I had it hooked up with Geena Davis as a double feature, and I threw in the Goonies too, also because it was a triple feature. Well, it turned out to be a triple feature after by the time I got finished it. And like I said, the Time Bandits. I remember I went to the movies to see this. It was totally badass. I think Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop 2 was playing at the time. And I was like, man, I got to see this. I got to check this out. And then, man, when I saw it, I was like, wow. And he came out of nowhere, give me the map. Give me the map. And it was like, return the map. And they're trying to get away. They're trying to get away. And the dude's like, you're in my room. And his father told him to go upstairs and go to bed and stop making all that noise. And he's like, I'm not making any noise. I'm trying to sleep. He's like, you've been making all that noise. I heard all that banging going on up here. He said, what noise? All that noise. Sounded like it was a bunch of cavalry in there. So he closes the door. He finally goes into bed. And that's when they come through the wall. And next thing you know, he's on a journey. And then he goes through the wall. It was totally badass. And I thought that the going through time kind of reminds me of this movie called The Voyagers, which I will show y'all that on my other second part too, where they're just going through time and then doing different things. But these guys, they had the same thing. They had an amulet, and it would help take them through and out time. But these people, the bandits, they had a map. Versus on the Voyagers, they had an amulet, which would, if it turned green, time was in correct position. If it turned red, something was wrong in time. They had to go back in time and undo it. But these bandits, they had a map, so they wanted to go through time so they could rob the place and try to get rich. And then meanwhile, the main man, he's trying to get the map back because he's like, no. You're going to return my shit back to me or else that's your ass. And then no matter where they went in time, he was there to get their ass. And I thought it was totally badass. So like I said, I'm in the movies now and I'm watching this shit on the giant screen. I'm like, holy fuck, this shit is badass. Just keep in mind, I'm like, I just got finished seeing Goonies because we were in one theater room and then we left out of that room and then we went into this room because I think they were playing both at the same time. And I remember they kept saying, oh, it's PG, it's PG. I'm like, what the fuck? Let me go in and see these goddamn movie because at the time I think the ratings mattered. And my mom, she kind of went by the ratings, but I was like, Mom, please, come on, let's go see it. So she was like, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Because what she did was she took us to see Conan the Barbarian first. Then Time Bandits came out because then I was like, holy shit. Because that was it. Because then I was like, wow, that is the fuck it. I knew then when I first saw this, actually, well, I knew when I seen Night of the Living Dead that I wanted to be a film director. Because George Romero is my favorite film director, along with others. But I knew that this is what I wanted to do when I seen these features. So these films are not just films for me. These are like treasures, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna do a skit on this too, also about treasures, which is pretty cool because I got this one skit where my buddy played where we were DVD pirates and video pirates, where we were going around robbing people and stealing their movies, and we're flying through the place in the car and stuff like that. And he goes, well, "What if we can get away?" So I said, "We can get away." So I wrote it as in the script where we get chased by the police and they pull us over. They think we got drugs and guns. Kind of find out all we do is we have movies. And then when we get pulled over by the cops, he goes, well, let me see what you got. Open the trunk up. I'm like, no, you can't open the trunk. There's something very precious in there. Very precious in there. He goes, well, open the trunk. Because y'all guys are probably dealing in something that you're not supposed to be dealing with. So then when he opens the trunk up, there's a treasure chest in the trunk. So he's like, what's in the treasure chest? Open it up. Have it open. Do you got the key? I said, no, I don't have the key. So he says, open it up or I'm going to shoot it off. I'm like, wait a minute. I'll get it. So then I open it up and then all these movies are in there. And he looks at me. I looks at him. And next thing you know, the cops are sitting down, other cops are pulling up, and we're sitting down watching the TV of the movies that I have in the trunk. And it was just as weird because my buddy was like, man, you got a wild imagination, man. I'm like, dude, totally. Because it's like movies are movies, and then what are you going to do? Movies. So yeah, the Time Bandits kind of like set me back because it was like, it made me really, really get up close and personal with directors and filming and theater and stuff like that. Because I think, Cyndi Lauper was doing her thing too also with the Goonies when her soundtrack dropped, Good Enough. And I was like, I loved all the wrestlers because I was a huge fan of all the wrestlers, Iron Sheik, Nikita Koloff, Andre the Giant, Roddy Piper. It was like everybody was like in the whole cast, and I'm thinking that, she did the same thing I did, where she found an opening in the wall and she kind of went through the wall. For me, when I saw the Time Bandits, I kind of wanted to do something like that. So yeah, Time Bandits was my favorite of all time. So next up we have Doom. Paul Mooradi. He who controls Arrakis controls the spice. I mean, when I first saw this, I was like, what the fuck is going on here with these people with these blue ass eyes? And I see why, because the spice on the planet turns your eyes blue. So I'm like, okay. I ended up getting this on VHS one time. I can't remember where it is, but I said, well, fuck it, I'll just get it on Blu-ray. And I had this for a while, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to do something, a reference to it. And it's picture perfect, like it says, and it has pure sound, which is pretty cool because it does sound badass on my sound system. I love the special features. They also added some additional features too, also, as far as the models and the miniatures, also, because you could see how they put together models for this particular film, and the CG was just totally off the chain. I didn't go to see the movies to see this, but I ended up watching it home on VHS. We did rent this from Blockbuster Video, and when I rented this, I wanted to have it again for the second day because I wanted to watch it again because it was that badass. And then when it was available through AIM that you can get it on VHS, I got it. So yeah, Dune. And I like how they got the intro too also because it kind of reminds you of Star Wars was. Because a lot of things was ripping off on Star Wars at the time. And it was a lot of movies too also that was ripping off Star Wars and Mad Max and it seemed like everybody just wanted to be like those films, and then it was totally badass. And there's a lot of films too also that I'm going to be ordering from eBay and off of Amazon that I do have in my collection that's coming up that's going to be added to the collection. So it's pretty much cool how my collection is growing now over the stuff that I'm getting from eBay and off of Walmart. And like I said, I had all these films for years. I had all these films for a while, but I decided to just do a review on these particular sections. So I said, let me just take a bunch out and just do a sci-fi fantasy action adventure part 1. And this is where we are, guys. So stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe, guys. Dune. All right, so let's see. Next up, we have The Wizard of Oz, which is totally my favorite too. I also do have this on VHS too also, which survives. So I have to tell y'all guys a story about how that happened. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so here's my copy of The Wizard of Oz. As you can see, it's number 132, and it's the reason for that because in my collection years ago, this is the place that it was, and it went up to 132. Actually, the entire collection went all the way up to 600, but this is in the place of 132. This is the only surviving tape that survived out of my whole entire collection, and it's in pristine condition. I got this from Ames a long time ago, and I can fold that back over, which is pretty cool. Which is totally badass. It's in good condition. I think I did that when I folded it down, but it's no problem. So there's a jacket for it. And yeah, The Wizard of Oz. So what happened is that we went to the movies to see this. My mom took us to the movies to see it. And what happened was I fell in love with the character and their set that they had. Because they had this big set, that they filmed this on. And I was just amazed at how they pulled it off. Because I was like, wow. And I'm a huge fan of Dorothy and the Tin Man. Didn't like the Scarecrow and the Lion that much, but then when I found out later on that I kind of fell in love with the Lion and the Scarecrow because he didn't have no fucking brain. And then when he dove out of the window, I was over it because it was like it was totally badass because I was like, wow, because he didn't have a fucking brain. And the fucking Lion didn't have no courage because every time somebody do something to him, he would run scared and do the stuff like that. And then the Tin Man didn't have a fucking heart because his ass would just roast up and he had to put oil on his ass every 5 minutes. He's outside chopping wood one day, and then it rained on his dumb ass. And then he sat there all years rusting away until Dorothy came along and set these characters on the right path. And then at the end, they walked down the golden yellow brick road. I was like, wow, what the fuck kind of shit is this? And then I found out that through Dorothy, her character was that it was like she was good at singing. So they had a dialogue with her where she would sing the Over the Rainbow song. And I was like, oh my God, she sang one more fucking time. And then I was like, well, okay, maybe this is her thing. So I did some reviewing on her and found out that, she did really have a singing career and stuff like that. And then she was in a lot of features where they did do I believe there was a movie score in reference to her back in the day. And there was a play that was put on, I think, that same week as The Wizard of Oz. But it didn't do too much good that it was held up because it was The Great and Powerful Oz, which I do have downstairs, which I will review on the second part because this is part 1, guys. Click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. But The Wizard of Oz was my ultimate favorite. So, yeah, this is the ultimate tribute to it. And then, like I said, this is the only one that survived. And it was through MGM, which is pretty cool. I remember seeing this VHS on the shelf in the video store. And I started thinking, I need to get this because we had already went to the movies to see this. So I was like, that's it. I'm getting it. It's no reason that I'm not. And it worked out pretty good. And then, like I said, it was in 132 place when I had all my stuff. And this tape, I had this tape for years because I had this tape, guys, when I was 19 years old. Guys, I'm almost in my 50s. Early 50s anyway. So, and I'm still collecting. I'm still amazed to this day to how the tape just, out of all my tapes, survived. Only just a handful survived. And, wow, it's just totally awesome. And this is going to be a massive wheel, guy, because we already over an hour or so into it. But, hey, this is going to be the ultimate wheel of my sci-fi, fantasy, and adventure. So let's get into it, guys, because we have a lot to go through. All right, guys, so next up would be Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Terminator. I do also have inside of here, I do also have Angelina Jolie's movie called Cyborg. I don't know if y'all guys remember that, but I lost the case to her. And so what I did is I just created this Cyborg collection. I just put her inside of here. I was like, I'm going to put her in there with Arnold. And there she is. Cyborg. And she's the future of the new cyborgs, and I think that they wanted to use her as a sex bot or whatever like that. It's almost like how Cherry 2000 was, because I also do have other features to also. I have Galaxina, I just put in a lot of stuff, in here. I have Raiders of Atlantis. This is a lot of sci-fi stuff. But yeah, so I had lost the case to this, so I'm going to order another one and then put her back in the case. Cyborg 2, Angelina Jolie. A young Angelina Jolie, so shall I say. So yeah, the Terminator. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of this movie. I like the plot. I like the way how they kind of just went post-apocalyptic on this whole entire deal where so the machine's going to take over. And guys, if you on my Facebook page, go to Terror from the Basement and check out my wheel that's running to also my ultimate tribute to Christiana Loken as the famous TX model. So I had something rolling last night because Terminator 3 did roll last night. And it was my tribute to Christiana Loken as the badass TX model. And she was supposed to battle Arnold in the Judgment Day, which was supposed to start yesterday because that would be the last day for mankind. So if you check it out. So yeah, guys, don't forget to check me out on my YouTube page and watch more of the stuff that I do have to offer. But Schwarzenegger, it's my ultimate fave when it comes to the Terminator. Can't say enough of it. It really does live up to it. Everybody's pretty much seen it. Everybody pretty much knows a lot about Arnold. But yeah, He's my badass when it rocks. I'll be back. And then, of course, this is the VHS that survived too also, which was pretty badass. It's in good condition and everything like that. I do have a lot of Arnold stuff too also. I do have True Lies. I do also have Eraser. I do have Collateral Damage. I have this, all of his films on VHS in my VHS particular collection. But yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator on VHS and Blu-ray. I'll be back. All right, so guys, so next up is Nemesis. I'm a huge fan of this, and this is part of that one feature that I told y'all guys that was rolling predominantly. I'm a huge fan of Nemesis. I do have Nemesis 2 also, and didn't like Nemesis 3 too much, but I did like Nemesis 5. Nemesis 4 kind of was like hit and miss, but to me, Nemesis 1 was the ultimate. And I believe this is a combo pack. Yeah, this is a combo pack with it has the Blu-ray and DVD. Yeah. Doesn't have reversible artwork though, but it does have special features on the making of it and the uses of CG. A lot of people don't like Albert Finn's the way how he creates his movies, because it was like they were hit and miss, because they was like some of his movies suck and some of it. That's like he has a, you gotta understand guys, from a different director's take. Being a director myself, independent, when you're going for something and you're trying to accomplish something, not everybody sees your views and understand what you're trying to create unless you put it on the screen. You have to really take the time out to understand the director's standpoint first before you can understand the film. Now, it's going to be hit and miss to a lot of people, because some people were like, well, I don't like that film, or I'm not really into this wrestling, which is your right. But at the same time, when you're checking out these films, guys, try to put yourself in the director's standpoint. It is not an easy job to create a film. It is not an easy job to come up with a budget. It is not an easy job to do a cast and crew, to try to get everybody together, let alone you got a certain amount of days that you got to shoot, and the money is just racking up as you're doing this. It is not easy trying to create a feature, okay? So, yeah. So with that being said, Nemesis is my favorite. I love the female characters. I like the way he kicks ass, and the stunts were real too also. It kind of reminds me of Hard Target 2, which I have over here. It kind of reminds me of that, because it does have the same features. And I wasn't a huge fan of Hard Target 1 because I wasn't really a Van Damme person. I did check him out a long time ago, but him and Stallone was just kind of like my ones I kind of didn't really get into. And yes, I do have Rambo. And yes, I do have Double Team with Van Damme and Dennis Rodman. But yeah. And I had that on VHS with him and Dennis Rodman on Double Team. So yeah, Nemesis was my favorite, and I do also love the characters. Like I said, it's a combo pack. And it does have the little poster inside too also, which I didn't get a chance to put up yet. And there's the DVD and there's the Blu-ray. So it has a poster. All this is going to go on my secondary shelf. When I do my figurines and artwork, because it's going to be a big, huge thing towards Mel Gibson. Tina Turner's going to be on there too also, because I didn't get a chance to get Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome, but I did go to the movies to see that too also. I think that was running the same time when Conan came out. I went to go see it all, because I like her in that particular session, and she goes, "What a pair, you and I. Perhaps we'll see each other again." He goes, "Maybe." And she goes, "What a man, soldier." And that was kind of crazy. And then Master Blaster comes out of nowhere and ruins the whole fucking film, and has her hostage and tells her, "Who's the master? Master Blaster. Say it louder. Who's the master?" Master Blaster runs bar time. I'm like, ain't this a bitch? See, I listened to this motherfucker here. I was mad as shit. So thank God for Max when he came and kicked his fucking ass and got them the fuck out of there, and that was it. So it's like, it was no man, because he wanted it through the wasteland anyway, and I get it onto him. This is the same thing how the script when Nemesis was, because he's running through this whole thing, and they had this thing where Cyborgs was going to take over, and he was being experimented on until almost like how they did with the $6 Million Man. He was 83 point some 83.6% human. And she goes, that doesn't make you all the way human. He goes, well, it makes me human. She goes, you're not really human, are you? So the whole time they're calling him names when he's actually half human and half robot. And there's one lady who really cares about him, and she wants to see the regime ended too also, and that they all go to hell for what they did. And she goes, goddamn human. He goes, goddamn terrorist. And then she assaults him. And the female characters were just totally badass. This whole film rocks. So to me, Nemesis 1 is the ultimate. I don't really want the rest of the fucking Nemesis, okay? Nemesis 1 rocks. And this poster is going to be on the wall, on the theme shelf, next to the artwork with this. So this is why I'm getting everything all geared up. So what you see here is going to be kind of on the shelf as it's all put together in my theme room for the third shelf that I'm working on. So yeah, guys, Nemesis, my favorite. All right, so next up, as I said, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines had played last night, which was pretty cool. And stars the gorgeous and talented Christina Loken. And the special features were totally badass and ultimate too also. And I like the fact that Arnold says, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat this one because he says he's obsolete. Which is what I posted on my page because she's part of the new Cyberdyne Systems Model TX model, which is the new improved model over the one that Schwarzenegger used to be. And that model has different weapons that they could use to their advantage that Arnold didn't have. So Arnold's basically basic compared to the new TX model. And I think Christina Loken played a good ass part for that. So she remains in my staple collection as Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Okay, so T2 Judgment Day was just the opposite. Like I said, he was the obsolete one in this one. And you do have the guy trying to help put Judgment Day back in order to try to stop it. They didn't stop it. They just prolonged it because it actually did pretty much come to fruition, and they had to actually, set the cyborgs straight. But somebody went back and rebooted the cyborgs and then tried to turn them into these new robots where they could actually take over the place, and then they became advanced. This is how T3 came. All right, so next up, guys, we have Total Recall. I do also love this particular film because I'm a huge fan of anything that Schwarzenegger did. And I did go to the movies to see this. It was pretty cool. I remember having this on DVD. On VHS when it first came out. And it was totally badass. It was so crazy that I think I had this one first. Because I had bought... I bought this one first. This is the DVD special edition of Total Recall. And he goes, get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. And he goes to Mars. He goes, it's the best mind fuck yet. And I thought it was totally badass, and the special features and everything rocks. This kind of reminds me of Collateral Damage in a way because it was totally badass. And like I said, I ended up opting for the Blu-ray later on. So what I did was I just put them all in one box. So I have the DVD in here along with the Blu-ray. Total Recall. Best mind fuck yet. All right, we're nearly getting there, guys. This is a long live. See, now you see why I had to do this in 2 parts, guys. So this is part 1, guys, of my sci-fi, fantasy, and action. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. Because we steady piling up here, guys. These are all that I went through so far, total already together, which is totally badass, guys. What a huge collection haul for part 1. All right, so next up we have Perseus Jackson and the Olympians and Lightning Thief. This is a Blu-ray and DVD and digital combo pack. I do also have Perseus Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, which will be on my second review. I know how y'all guys is on. You have this or there you have that. So yeah, guys. So if you don't see me say it here, it's going to be on the part 2, okay? So we have the DVD, and we have the Blu-ray, and we have the digital. Okay? Huge fan of Perseus, and I remember when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this kind of reminds me of Clash of the Titans. And maybe they were inspired by that, by doing it something like this, because they turned it into an action adventure, which was pretty cool. Because it was something that you could do at a time where you were using CG anyway, like that way, almost like how the Harry Potter was, because I do have all the Harry Potters and the book, and it was kind of done like that. So yeah, and for me, it was like one of those ones that I did enjoy this show. Also, like I say, special usage where it was, you could tell they took a lot from the old films, and yeah, I love it. Perseus Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief combo pack. All right, so next up we have the Road Warrior. But let's bring in how it all started for me. All right, so Mad Max. This is the one I got the first time when I went to the video store. And I told a story on this, but I guess I'll tell it again on this one. I had rented this from, I think it was Earl's Video. And they had it where you could buy the pre-owned tapes. So I was like, okay, this is good, because this is where I'm going to start collecting. And I think I had Poltergeist too. I had them all stacked up on the counter. And I was like, I really love that Mad Max. He said, man, how you like it? How did you like it? I said, man, I love the shit. I said, I need it. I got to have Mad Max. So he's like, okay, cool. So what happened is that, you know how you have the jacket behind it and you have the movie in front. So I grabbed the case and I grabbed the whole thing and just ran to the counter and said, I'll buy it. And he looked at it to make sure it was the pre-sale. He's like, okay, cool. So then he takes it out of this plastic thing and then gives me the tape in a regular thing without this slip cover. I said, no, I want the slip cover too. And the guy was like, really? I was like, yeah. I said, man, I got to have the whole thing. And then the boss seen me, the manager seen me arguing with the guy, because he was like, well, let me go in the back and see if I can find a protective case. Because back during the times, I don't know if y'all guys realize, but y'all probably do because y'all major collectors too. These protective cases really did last a long time. Still to this day, I mean, when I'm going to open it up, I'm going to show y'all guys how long it lasted. And I kind of wanted the tape in this because at first he was going to give me the box. And I didn't want the box because the box contained just a slip over, but it didn't have the artwork that it had. So you can just slide the tape in, and he just was going to hand it to me. I said, no, I want the whole damn thing. So the boss came and the manager came and he was like, well, no. He said, I'll take care of you. He told him to go take care of somebody else. So then he checks the tape out, and guys, this is the same tape. You can see the stocking number and everything, and it says, please rewind. Please be kind and rewind. I actually had rewound it because I had bought a rewinder from the same place and I rewound it myself and then turned it back in. This is the same tape that I rented. He put it back in the jacket the way it was, put the envelope inside. He actually had to cut it because it was a little bit short because this was actually for a different VHS. It was for the box. So he actually, I don't know if y'all guys can see it, but he actually cut it real nice and he made me a jacket to go inside, which was pretty badass. And this is the same one that I had, and I had this for years. And reason why is because it was in the protective case. You can see all this room right here that's missing. All this room right here. He actually cut it because it was, if you look at it, it's for a DVD. I mean, it's for let me get one to show y'all guys what I'm talking about as far as comparison. If you look at the length of it, it's just enough size for a tape. Because it was like in a tape box. But the way he had it was they cut it and they slide it in the box and then put the tape over the box. But the box is in a protective plastic shield and they would just slide the cover in the box, which is like this. They would just slide that in. So when you're getting a plastic covering was larger than the box, because you can look at it far as versus the tape. It's actually larger. So what he did was he cut it and then put it in the box. And when he handed it to me, he was like, he snapped it all up and he goes, I was like, wow, that looks so badass. I'm going to keep it. And then there it is. So I still have it to this day. And it's funny because every time I tell that story, everybody's like, wow, dude. Talk about history. And then this was off of my theme shelf too also. So yeah, this is what this is from. Yeah, totally badass. So this is the DVD version, of course. The box artwork from this same one did look like this too also, because I kind of wanted it to look like this on the VHS, but it didn't because it looked like this. So there were different versions of it that was floating around out there, because on the back of this, they had Max with the car with him on the shot of the road like that. After Toe Cutter them ran over his hand, they had a shot of him in the car just with his glasses on the back of this box. So on the release, because I believe that there's another version of this too. Also, somebody might have that out there. Actually, if I find it on eBay, I will actually order that up, because that's where that's particularly from. And I kind of want that on the shelf too. That way I have all 3 versions of Mad Max on it, because I'm a huge fan of it. And we went to the movies to see this, and it was like totally badass. And I was a Gibson fan for years. Like I said, the only one that I didn't get was Beyond Thunderdome. And I will be ordering that too also. So this is my Mad Max Ultimate Collection. So let's get to the heightened movement of the Road Warrior, which was my favorite, because after I got this one, I had this on VHS, but I think I lost it so much. They had the picture of the truck with him in the truck right there. See him right there? They had that on the back of it, where when he was about to shoot the guy with the double gauge. And then Humongous was on the side cover when he was like, no more games. No more games. He was like, see, Humongous rules the wasteland. Nothing can escape. And then during the time that they had them tied up on the thing, that was also on the side artwork of the box of the Road Warrior. So if I can get that on VHS, that would be totally badass to put on the shelf. And then I have all of them on the shelf, along with Tina Turner as the Road Warrior. So then I'll have Mad Max, the Road Warrior, and Beyond Thunderdome all together. What a pair, you and I. He goes, cut the crap. I can drive that tanker. He said, look at you. You can't even drive a wheelchair. He goes, I'm the best chance you got, and you know it. And there it was. He goes, you want to get out of here? Talk to me. All right, guys, just to bring up in light, because this is going to be a long last, I might as well go ahead and dive deep into it, because when you're doing sci-fi fantasy, you can't just like stop. You got to kind of like just keep on going, because there's so much to cover. And I have such a huge collection. Like I said, it's going to be a part 2. I knew this was going to be totally long, but who cares? Because I know how some people are. They don't want to watch long videos, but that just shows some of the regularities that people are going through, where they want always everything quick. My thing is, if you want it quick, then you need to go and find another channel to subscribe to. Because on this particular channel, we talk about movies, not about how long it takes you to talk about a movie. Because if that's the case, you'll be like other people rushing through movies. No, all of these movies mean a lot to me, just as like they mean a lot to everybody else who was a collector. And like I said, a lot of these movies I had since I was a kid, and I value every movie, and each movie has a story to tell. And as you can see, we're piling up very, very quickly on what we just went through. So yeah, so I want to get to something very, very quickly. So Virus, Jamie Lee Curtis was my ultimate favorite. I remember checking this out on TV when it first came out. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, because a lot of people be slipping on this too also, and it's in also good condition. It's no mold, no rust, no nothing, because I don't play that on my tapes. I try to keep my tapes clean and put away and nice and neat. And there are others too also. I do also have Supernova. I also do have Red Planet and others, which I did on my review. So guys, check out my other review. Don't forget to click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And let's talk about some movies that you like when you were collecting. And if you are collecting, what do you have that you want to talk about? But yeah, so Jamie Lee Curtis, Virus. It kind of reminds me of this whole thing. There was a movie that came out before too also. They kind of remind me of something towards this, where there was a virus that came down and it affected the humans, and it turned cyborgs into killers and wanted to get them, they wanted to steal as much information as they could from them. But Virus, Jamie Lee Curtis was my favorite. It says Earth is for a shock. Earth is in for a shock. And it was crazy because it was like this brand new thing that came over. And guys, yes, I do have Leviathan. Yes, guys, I do have Deep Star 6. And but what's going to happen is I have that on ROM, so on my hard drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be ordering that from eBay, which I was looking at the other day of ordering the VHS copy and the DVD. So a couple guys have it, and I'm going to be buying it from them. So when it comes in, I will do a massive update on when it comes into this particular collection. So yeah, Virus is the truth. And then next up, I'm a huge fan of Molly Ringwald. And this particular thing pretty much does it for me, because it was like I watched Molly Ringwald, her interview the other day. And she done this a long time ago also. And I love Michael Ironside. I mean, he's totally badass too also. And the guy who plays Wolf, he's pretty badass too. And it takes place in the year 2136. And Mad Dog, Overdog, Michael Ironside, a.k.a. Rest in Peace. And Peter Strauss was also one of my favorite actors too, also, along with Ernie Hudson, which is totally badass, because Ernie Hudson was in a lot of stuff, like as y'all know, he was in Ghostbusters. But let's get back to Molly Ringwald. I'm tripped out because Molly was watching this too also, and they had it on like a backstage rewind. And Molly was sitting down, and she was with the host, and they were asking her questions about the this movie that she played in, and she told about how they came to her with the script, and they wanted her to play this little child who's supposed to be involved in this mad takeover in the year 2136, stuff like that, with this guy Mad Overdog, and all this kind of good stuff, and they were going to team her up. And it was supposed to be an Aliens ripoff, totally, but it ended up having its own place in time. And yes, this is also in good condition. And I'll take this one all the way out, because this one also has, where I wanted to show y'all guys, there's no mode at all on the tape. And it's just the way I got it when I actually purchased the tape. So Molly Ringwald, she's kind of like describing what it was like to be on the set and how they treated her and stuff like that. And she thought it was an absolute joke, because she thought it was funny, because she said the little creatures who came out of the world had these big little stomachs, like little gigantic Teletubbies, and they were all looking weird, and they were just singing this little song and dance. I thought they were cute, because they were singing along, and that's when they drop bombs on your ass and just try to blow your ass all up. And I thought it was totally badass. I like how the time warp kind of goes away a little bit, and it kind of like it's a badass feature. And he tells her, I like her for the maze, Mad Overdog. And then, as you can see, though, I like the way how they soup the vehicles up, and it's kind of like totally badass. So doing my research, I came across this one movie that I didn't have in my collection called Striker. And I'm going to be ordering that too also from eBay. So the movie Striker kind of is the same way, where he's running around and trying to take place in the same kind of post-apocalyptic type of place that takes place in the year 21, blah, blah, blah. And there's another one too, also, Metal Storm, Jared Sin, which is also pretty much a badass film that I'm going to be getting to also. That's going to be on the same shelf with all these. And the reason why I'm showing you guys, because these are going to be on my collector's theme shelf. And there's more too also. There's going to be a new update copy of Raiders of Atlantis. There's going to be a new copy of Charlie 2000, which is going to be on there too also. I do already have Galaxina. I already have Brother from Another Planet. I have Hands of Steel. I also do have I have just about all of them. Galaxina. Just about all of them on the main tribute. And I do also have the Eliminators and the Time Guardian, which was another one of my favorite features too also. And I do also have America 3000. And I do also have the Eliminators. I believe that was a combo pack too also, that was pretty predominantly done up pretty good too also. But I mainly bought it for the Time Guardians with Tom Burlington and all the rest of them. Okay, guys, so here's that one I was telling you about. The Arena, the Eliminators, America 3000, and the Time Guardian. I mainly bought it for the Eliminators and the Time Guardian because I'm a huge fan of as you can see what's on top of it. Like I said, guys, I'm a huge fan of Tom Burlington. And it kind of reminds you of a Star Wars episode, and I think that The guy Dean Stockwell did play a huge part in this too, also because he kind of made the movie. Because, but I'm a huge fan of Tom Burlington because they wanted it to be like an Aliens ripoff, and I thought it was totally badass. I mean, a Star Wars ripoff, and at the time I think the Empire Strikes Back had just came out, and when I first saw this one, but I didn't go to the movies to see it, but I seen it on TV, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna start collecting these money, and they had it available. Only way you could get the Time Bandit, only way you can get the Time Guardian if you got it on this Sci-Fi Marathon 4-pack. And then I love the Eliminators too, also because I'm a huge fan of. Let me see what her name was. Yeah, Denise Crosby. She's totally badass too, also. And then in Star Trek Next Generation, yeah, she played in that too, also. I knew if she was in it for some strange reason because I did seen her on Star Trek. I do also have Star Trek 2. Like I said, that'd be on my part 2. This is part 1 of my sci-fi fantasy and action adventure. But yeah, guys, America 3000, the Time Guardian. But this is totally badass. And he goes, here's 500 years of power all at once. And he let their ass have it. Turn Burleson was the shit. And I had like how they had her hooked up with Princess Leia throughout this whole damn thing. It was just totally badass. Yeah. Yep. And then also, guys, to go with that main shelf, I do also have Supernova, James Spader, and Angela Bassett. I think that she did do a good performance, and this is also in good condition too, also. As you can see, I watched a little bit of it. I didn't rewind it all the way, but I will. I think that she did a pretty good job too, also, in this particular film. And kudos to Angela Bassett. She was the medical doctor in this particular session, and I think she did a pretty good job. So all these are on my main featured wheel. Yeah, and then getting back to Molly Ringwald, she says she's talk earther, just like you, and she don't eat no damn dog. All right, guys, so next up, one of my favorites, this one I thought it in The Exterminator, which was a totally badass one, too. Also, that was overlooked in a lot of people's collection. This is also in good condition, too, also. I didn't like Exterminator 2, but Exterminator 1 kind of did it for me. This is also on my theme shelf, too, also. And it is also in good condition, along with all the rest of my tapes. Apologize about the glare, guys. But, yeah, The Exterminator, totally badass. So I believe they have this on a Blu-ray now, so I'll be ordering that too also. But yeah, I mainly be rolling my VHS copy of it. It's totally badass, The Exterminator. All right, so next up, guys, I'm a huge fan of Dolph Lundgren. I do also have Red Scorpion too, also, before anybody asks me. All right, so, and I do also have the rest of the stuff downstairs, but this is just my favorites that I'm going over. The Punisher was my favorite too, also because I kind of liked. I'm not a huge fan of Louis Gossett Jr., but I'm a huge fan of Dolph Lundgren. He goes, "Take that back to your people," and I love the way how he kicks ass, and he's like the ultimate badass in all of my pretty much features. The way we have, and he's like this veteran cop that's kind of like went over the top and want to see the family pay for what they did. And then when they threw in the kids, man, that was it, man. He zapped out on the motherfuckers, and that was it. And tore their whole shit up. Miss Tanaka was pissed at him, the Punisher. She goes, how do you expect to pay for such expensive stuff? Dolph Lundgren, Silent Trigger. I used to have Agent Red, ex-fiance. I used to have that, but I actually fucked around and I traded it with this one guy, and it was funny because I never did get it back, so I'll be ordering that too, also on eBay. And it's from the same director of Highlander, as of course you know, did this one tribute to, and this is the original one that I pretty much got to also because I had the original work on the inside and everything. And when I had got the Agent Red, it had the same way too also. So this is the same one that I had for all that long time. And if I would have had kept Agent Red, it would have been just like this with all the chapters and artwork and stuff inside. That's when they used to give you the foldouts. Now they don't give you shit inside. They just give you the damn disc and then close it back up. But this is when the distributors used to give you, artwork booklets and stuff like that on the inside. Like I said, it was the main stuff that, and then on the inside, the guy wrote 35 on it. I was like, well, why did you write 35 on it? He says, because this is the copies that we had left. He only had 35 left. So out of 35, this is one of the copies that I got out of it. So I got copy 35 out of it. And I got this from a guy who ran a record store, but inside the record store, he sold vintage movies. And I noticed that, I said, man, let me check out some movies, because he noticed I was a search collector. And he says, man, you're privileged to come back here. So when we went back there, I found out that he had all these ones. So that 35 is kind of weird to me. When he said, so are you going to erase it all? I said, nope. I said, I'm going to leave it on there. And I sure enough did. So that's just why the 35 is on there, guys. And I bought this from out of his personal collection. And he's the guy who owns the store. And I bought all of them from him. And like I said, I'm still to this day kicking myself in the ass that I sold Agent Red, but I'll be getting it back. Now, I did have Retrograde too, because I bought all of them at the same time. I bought Retrograde. Actually, let me get deep into this, because this is kind of really, really taking me back. I bought The Punisher. I bought Agent Red. I bought Silent Trigger and Retrograde. All at the same time. So I had all of them both together. And let's see if he didn't put that one on this particular one, because this one I grabbed first. And I think he had it on a separate cart. And he was like, well, what are you going to do with it? I said, I don't know. I said, I'm just going to burn myself a copy, because I did have it on my hard drive. I think I had it on the inside. Yeah, I did have it on the inside. What I did was, guys, is I just made my own stuff. I call it the Punisher's Pack. Well, I had the Punisher and Red Scorpion on before I actually bought this. So I had made my own this. So yeah, that's all I do in here is pretty much do movies. And the same disc that you see, I had this disc in here all those years of Red Scorpion. And I was like, wow, I'm going to get these two together. So what I did is I made my own disc. And then when I found out that this guy had his collection, I was like, wow, that's it. And then there it was. And then me and him became friends over the years, and we still talk still to this day, because he also has a nice collection too also. And he liked the fact that, because he kept saying, well, I wanted these films, especially the one that had the 35 on the back of it. He kept saying, I wanted these films to have a good home, and I wanted somebody who respected the jackets and wouldn't abuse the movies and all. I said, but they're going to have a good home with me. And there it was. This is the birth of how it all happened. And I told him that I was interested in him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and if he was to have any of those, let me know. And sure enough, he did. And then, like I said, these movies, man, I had these for years. All these films, I had these for years. And I just decided to just do a review on them of my sci-fi, fantasy, and action adventure, part 1. So stay tuned for part 2. All right, so next up, guys, we'll be getting into the sci-fi fantasy, more deeper into sci-fi fantasy. First up, we will be reviewing Poseidon Rex, which is one of my favorites. I checked the trailer out on this one too also, because I did have it. And I just wanted to show y'all guys like what you can do when you kind of want to make a spinoff on something. And it's pretty cool, because I think that they turned it into a miniseries. I think shortly after that it was rebooted. And this is when most of the stuff was on Sci-Fi channel, on the cable channel. And I was like, man, the hell with Sci-Fi. I'm just get rid of the cable, and just started buying the movies. So then I found out they were coming out. I started buying them. So yeah. And then around the same time, I bought The Abyss, which I do have on VHS. And then I started running these along with Aliens, Deep Space Nine. I mean, not Deep Space Nine. Aliens, Deep Star 6, and Leviathan. So all these are going to be on that same shelf with that one. So we have Poseidon Rex, which is totally badass too also. So if you guys get a chance, you got to check it out, Poseidon Rex. So next up, we have Shark versus Octopus, which is another Mega Shark versus Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, which is totally badass too. Also, which is totally badass. I believe it spawned a series too also, and they decided to turn this into a House Shark or whatever, some bullshit that was weird. I didn't watch it though. It was kind of stupid. But you can find this around just about all the places. But these were all sci-fi features. And this is the widescreen edition, which is what I like about it because I like my stuff in widescreen. It says, who will win the battle? And these two were facing off against each other. Mega Shark and Giant Octopus was totally badass. And when the shark jumped out of the water and grabbed a fucking plane flying in the air, I knew it was over with. But see, that's the thing about sci-fi, guys. It may sound stupid, but guys, in the realm of fantasy, it's something that's made up. This is why it's called fantasy, because it's a delusional report where it does not make sense in the actual standpoint of the what's normal. In a way, it's something that's fiction. It's fictional, and it's fantasized in a different plot. The way as though it's something that's just made up. That's simply made up. And when it may, if you, depending on how you put it together, as far as a director, if you do it really good, and I forgot it contains the digital bonus copy included. If you do it right, and you match it up, it would spawn a series, and it actually did. Shark versus Octopus started to blow up, and then next thing you know, a series came out of nowhere, and it started on Sci-Fi, and it became one of the hottest things on Sci-Fi. So I decided to highlight that, so I'm going to leave them up in the front as I bring them out. Mega Piranha was another one of my favorites too. Also, it also includes the digital copy too, also of it on the side, which is totally badass. They were all out through some kind of transmutation that they kind of got in the water. It's inspired by the 1980s pop star was in this too also. And it kind of, researchers were checking out the water, and it kind of affected the water. I think that they wanted to do a remake of the movie Piranha. I don't know if y'all guys seen that with Barbara Steele in it. And the guy says, well, what is it? He goes, it's the guest, sir. He says, what about the guest? He says, the piranha. Says, what about the piranha? So you didn't guess, sir. And that's also, I think, on 4K. I just made a 4K on Piranha. So this movie is inspired by that. Mega Piranha, which is also badass. So you're talking about a lot of sci-fi fantasy here. And then next up, 12 sci-fi movie pack. Sharks and Venice is what I bought this for. But there's others, so I'll just let y'all see what the others were like. But I love Sharks and Venice. It's totally badass, and these are some of the features that are on here. So yeah, these are all the ones that are the major sci-fi wheel on the Sci-Fi channel. So moving on. All right, guys, so this is where we're getting to the thick of it. I'm a huge fan of Tom Baker, and I kind of want to collect all the rest of them too. I think I'm missing just two or three more of his that I have all this, because I like just Tom Baker only. He's the fifth Tom Baker. The fifth Doctor who played in this particular long series as the Doctor Who. And Doctor Who, Destiny of the Daleks, story 104. Tom Baker years went from 1974 to 1981. I remember when I first saw this, and this is a BBC broadcast. And I do have a lot of stuff from the BBC too. Also, I have Logs to Candleford, I have Bronwell, Pyro. I also have a lot of stuff from the BBC. I love the BBC. I also do have, which is another favorite too. Also, I do also have Home Fires. So let me bring that out too. And so when we're talking BBC, you have to bring it out all the way. And then the other one was released by PBS, which I'll get to Home Fires in just a minute. But right now I want to do my Doctor Who. Diving deep into the plot of Tom Baker years. Like I said, he went from 1971 to 1981. Destiny of the Daleks was my ultimate favorite that I do run continuously in my lab. The Daleks alone were superior, but they had to take over but they had to have direction from the master himself. And they were nothing without them, so that he thought. But when Tom Baker told him that the Daleks can run themselves. I mean, especially on TARDIS anyway, because it was a planet that looked just like Skyro. And no one's been on Skyro in a couple of years, but he decided to take over Skyro and then kind of land there. There was some other stuff too also. And I love Romana too also because she was actually one who told him that this planet is radioactive, and this kind of was one of those ones that, you don't kind of want to be hanging around with, and the Doctor, with his brilliance and all his stuff, he told Davros, your Daleks are nothing. They left you anyway because you were dead. You were in hypersleep, before the Daleks. And he says, well, tell me more about the Daleks. Did they win? Were they successful? And he says, well, then again, they were. He said, well, then it could be advanced. So then he decided to upgrade the Daleks and make them more invincible, which is where he went wrong. And then this is season 1. The slipcover is totally badass too also. And then they have a lot to go through on this too also. So yeah, the Daleks were my ultimate. I mean, well, Tom Baker season 1 was my ultimate favorite. And then it skips because it goes to season 3, which is pretty much thick too also. And it has all the stuff inside, pretty much badass. I need more because I done went through the whole collection already. I have to go back to 7 again and check more out on 7. This is season 7. So I'll be getting the next ones that came out already too, so I could finish this collection. Because on the shelf, I kind of want, you see that phone box there? I want to make a phone box, and if I can, get a poster of Marana on the front, and maybe a picture of the Doctor as a figurine, along with the phone booth, and I'm going to do a theme shelf on my Tom Baker collection as the Doctor Who. And maybe a Dalek beside too also on that same shelf, which would be totally badass. Now on the PBS version of Home Fires, because season 2 is not over here, they only have it on Region 2, so you have to get a Region 2 player to play it. But this is a Region 1, the only one that's released over here in the United States, are Home Fires. You guys got to check this out. I had reviewed it before by PBS Masterpiece. It's a series of events that does happen. It takes place in the UK of the airfield, and has a huge storyline, and it's like a lot of stuff because I don't want to kind of ruin it for everybody. But you guys gotta check this out. But it's Home Fires, and it's totally awesome. This is the complete first season of it, and like I said, season 2 is not available over here. But when you get a chance, you gotta check this out. You gotta check this out. You'll fall in love with it. The storyline, I mean, it is constantly action all the way through. Like I said, when I popped it in, I was like, what the fuck? I was literally mad that this second part wasn't over here. So I was like, I was going to get it anyway because it's like, I still might do and just end up just getting a Region 2 player because this is why it's happening anyway until they release this over here. The second season on Region 2. I'm just going to just go ahead and order it. There's another series too also that I fell in love with too also. It's called I'm trying to remember what the name of it that was called. But it was totally badass too also, that I'm going to be getting that season. I think it's seasons 1 and 2 of it too. It'll come to me in a minute what that season was. Yeah, guys, because this kind of reminds me of Jamestown. I'm hooked on Jamestown too also. So if you guys know about Jamestown, this is kind of like almost the same way as this, but it's a little bit different because this more reminds you of Four's War and Downton Abbey, all in one bundle. Like I said, it's totally badass, but this is the first season, and season 2 is not available over here in the United States, so hopefully when they release that over here, I can be able to get a chance to get that. But like I said, I'm going to buy it anyway. I don't give a shit. I'll just get a Region 2 player. But Home Fires. And yeah, I'm a massive Doctor Who. I love Tom Baker. So I'll be ordering more from him and creating a theme shelf. Doctor Who. Bye-bye. All right, so we have Bitch Slap up next. And these two are always my favorite two also because I'm a huge fan of this movie. And this is the unrated edition. I do also have the poster, which I had showed y'all before, of the gorgeous and talented Trixie. Well, she plays her name as Trixie in this movie, but her real name is let me see, because I forgot. She's totally badass. The whole cast rocks too, also. And I like the way how the storyline is too, also. And like I say, as you see right there, there's Kevin Sorbo. It's a major kick ass feature, and it does have a lot of other characters in here too. Also, the one who played in Spartacus, which I will review on my second tutorial of this my action adventure. But there's Trixie. Yeah, her name is Julia Voth, and there's also a lot of stunts in here too. Also, that's done by Zoe Bell too. Also, which is pretty badass because I'm a huge fan of Zoe Bell, which I will be bringing her up too. Also, because she was in this one feature called Angel of Death, which is totally badass, and she deserves respect too. Also, so let me show y'all guys the poster I do have for Trixie, aka the love of my life. She's so gorgeous. Let's bring her up. All right, so there she is right there. That's Trixie, a.k.a. Julia Voth is her name. And as you can see, that's her right there in the middle. And she's from this movie here called Bitch Slap. And that's the 24 by 36 poster of her on the front. Gorgeous physique. And yeah, she's my ultimate favorite. Trixie. And she'll make you melt. Yeah, so that's the Blu-ray edition, Blu-ray unrated edition of Bitch Slap, which is my total favorite. I do like Erin Cummins too, and she thinks she's gorgeous too, also because she plays with Spartacus too. Also, Spartacus' girlfriend. It's totally badass. So Bitch Slap is totally one of my ultimate favorite. And inside of here, I think I have a copy of Machete, because I usually run them together. All right, so next up we have Zoe Bell as Angel of Death, and this is the unrated and edited edition too. Also, it says "People die, get over it," and it's pretty cool. It's my total package, and there she goes right there. And she does a lot of her stunts, and also, like I said, she did a lot of stunts in Bitch Slap, but she was showing the girls how to act, and she stunt doubled as for the girls. This was totally badass. So those two, I always run them together too. Also, it's my favorite features. Angel of Death, totally badass, gorgeous Zoe Bell, which is another one of my loves. Beautifully done by Ed Brubaker, which is pretty cool. All right, so next up we have Doomsday, which is another one of my favorites. Rihanna Mitra, which is totally my favorite badass, and I love her haircut. She's totally badass, and she's totally sexy in this. And bonus features are also off the hook, and the sound and everything else goes together. And he goes, "What are you gonna do? We're gonna catch them. And what we gonna do when we catch them? We're gonna eat them. And then what we gonna do? We're gonna burn them." And she was like, "What the fuck?" So this movie is crazy. This is like Mad Max all in one, plus a Road Warrior, plus Bitch Slap, all in one feature film. Like, they went totally loony on this one. And it's the unrated edition. And I believe it was beautifully done too also. Let me bring out the edition and show y'all guys what it looks like. This is the same way. No artwork on the inside, but it's totally badass how they did the disc up. Pretty cool. Excellent transfer. And it was totally badass. Rihanna Mitra, she does a good job in this one feature. And yeah, I totally had to run this. And she's totally badass. She plays as this commander in this one, and she was sent in to try to go over the wall and take care of these bastards. Well, these are generous, and it was crazy. And then it turned out to be like, and it was crazy because this one, you think the movie's over with, it turns into the Road Warrior, and they go chasing her in this big ass truck, and it's crazy as hell. Then she gets her head cut off, which was totally badass. And yeah, Doomsday. Unrated, it totally rocks. All right, so next up we have these two, which is another one of my double features that I do have when I do run these. The Car, James Brolin and Jaws. I remember I do double features in here for a reason. And these two are always together that I do. I remember seeing them. I remember seeing them on the double billing in this movie theater. They were running them together. This was before Jaws 3D had came out. But they were running these two as a double feature. I said, that's it. I'm going to double feature these together. And that's what I did. James Brolin is the Car. Totally feature. Because I remember one time I had this hooked up with the Road Warrior and the Car. I don't like Christine, but I do love the Car. Car was pretty badass. So I was like, that's it. I'm going to do a double feature and have this with Jaws. So the slipcover is pretty badass too also. And they just have it where Jaws is in blue on the slipcover, and they do have a picture of the shot of the water and then Brody in the water, because I think when this came out, I was getting ready to go see Orca the Killer Whale, and it's funny because if you look at the back, the name of the boat is called Orca, and if you look at it, Orca the Killer Whale had came out right after this. So like I said, live till that time, a lot of people was always ripping things off, and they was calling it a Jaws ripoff because Orca the Killer Whale came out, and then there was another one that came right after that. But yeah, Jaws was the ultimate, and then plus still to this day, when I remember as a kid when I went to go see this, I didn't want to get in the water either because I thought Jaws was going to come and get me, and all this kind of stuff was going on, and I was like, holy shit, I can't have this. I can't have Jaws bite my legs off. I need my leg, because after I see what he did to the kidney boy, I was like, holy shit. I ain't never going in the fucking water again. And then, it's totally remastered off of the 35mm original film reel. Had some elements that they had remastered off of it, and I think they put this cheesy box trailer on it, slipcover on it, because this is the one that was on it. And if you actually look at it, this is the front of the movie poster that was in the movies when you went to go see this. You see how this is? Like Wishcom says, Roy Snyder says, you see those proportions on here? It looks same way it is. And I'm not lining up to be a hot lunch. I see. And he said, those portions are correct. Take a look at it. He said, all the thing does is it swims and it eats little fish, and it swims and it eats more fish. And then he says, when it gets tired of those little fish, it's going to start wanting more. And sure enough, swallow that little kitten boy down to this hole. I'm like, damn, that's crazy as a bitch. And then Brody was like, smile, you son of a bitch. And then he blows him the fuck up. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. This whole film is wild as hell. But yep. And this was inspired by true events too, also because it was the shark that was stating his territorial rights, where he had kept coming back and forwards, and he would slip through the channel, and he was eating people from out of the water. So this was a true event. So yeah, and anytime I go to the beach, because I like to surfboard and all, and I was like, I didn't want to surfboard anymore after this. So yeah, Jaws. I was like, that's it. I ain't getting in the water no motherfucking more. That's it. Restricted water over. So guys, we have next up Hard Target 2. Hard Target 2 pretty much rocks. I mean, everything was done up pretty cool. I like the way they did all the stunts. All the stunts and the action play was pretty badass, and especially the broad and the guy. It was pretty kick-ass, and this movie offers delivering total kick-ass all the way through to the end. And then you see those special features right there, and you can see it says over 30 minutes of bonus features, which is pretty cool. And the action theme play is just the same, as you can see. This was total action. This one, you thought it was over, it keeps coming and coming and coming. It seems to never end. Total kick ass. So what I did is I comboed these two together, because I'm a huge fan of Lucy Liu and Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore. I thought that all three of them was hot. I do like Charlie's Angels, which is totally rock. Charlie's Angels full throttle, and they were totally badass and sexy. And yeah, it was totally badass fun. And a lot of the stunts that they did too also was from, they wanted to do their own little Charlie's Angels. So I kind of hooked them up with their little and keep them in. And this is from the original theatrical version, by the way, too, also. And Lucy Liu was my hot favorite anyway because she was from this movie with Payback with Mel Gibson. And it was totally badass. I love Cam Diaz. Of course, she was my favorite. And then you throw in Drew Barrymore. That was like the ultimate. They were angels for real. Shit. And I loved it. They were also totally badass. All right, so next up, guys, getting down to the wire of the final features for this entire long wheel of sci-fi action and adventure and fantasy, part 1. So let's go over some of the other ones that I do have too. Also, my Tokyo Ghoul Shock stuff. Tokyo Ghoul Police. Eva Shano is my favorite, and I think she's gorgeous and talented too. Also, and I do love this too. Also, and you guys got to check out the trailer on this. Total bloody action and all that kind of good gory stuff. And inside of here, I did a another one. Y'all guys know I love double features. So in here, along with Eva Shana, who is a gorgeous Tokyo model, by the way. And she's very big in her country. So what I did was I made a copy of Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl and a copy of Samurai Princess, which is also my favorite. I will be ordering the rest too. Also, I did have on another hard drive Hard Revenge Molly, Bloody Battle 1 and Hard Revenge Molly 2, and Meatball Machine. I'm a huge fan of Tokyo Ghoul Shock. And yeah, this is totally badass. Tokyo Ghoul Police, which is my favorite. Next up, Yakuzumo Hunters, which is another one of my favorites too. Also, the final duel, by the way. Yeah, final battle duel, which was pretty cool too also. So you guys got to check this out if you're into all this kind of stuff like that, Tokyo Ghoul Shock stuff. And as you can see, the special features, which is totally badass. And the action play is totally good too also. Just like how Tokyo Ghoul Police was, the action play was totally badass too. But on this one, they kind of want to mechanize monsters and then have them tricked out. And the thing that makes it even more worse is that they're having them with so much blood and carnage, which is totally badass. So when they mean Tokyo Gore, they mean that for real. And then she's totally badass too also. Yeah, Eva Shona. And she's the main one who started Addiction. So if you've never seen Addiction, you got to check that out and have a brief history on her too also, because she's a gorgeous actress. And she looks good too also in her character. Along with Yakuzumo Hunters, it's like the total badass. Like I say, I will be getting, because I have it on my VHS. Okay, guys, so this is what I put on here. Like I was telling y'all guys, I do have it, and I call it Tape 2. When I have recorded, it's Mutant Girl Squad, Hard Revenge Molly, Bloody Battle 2, and Hard Revenge Molly, Bloody Battle 1, along with New Nuns with Big Guns, which I do already have on Blu-ray. But these are some of the things I had recorded already on this particular tape right here. And like I said, this is called Tape 2. And during this particular time, what I did is that I put it in EP mode. What that does is that it allows you to use the tape all the way for a total 6 hours. But in LP mode is kind of like 4 hours. It's pretty much long play. And then SP is short play, which will give you just 2 hours long. But I had this in EP mode. So what I did is I maxed this entire tape out and then had it all set up. So I have to get Mutant Girl Squad and Hard Revenge Molly, Bloody Battle 1 and Bloody Battle 2. And then that will be part of this collection right here that I would have all this. And then also I'm a huge fan of Ba Ling. The Gene Generation was also my favorite. I loved her in this. And she's totally badass. I'm friends with her too also on my Instagram page. So I pretty much check with her all the time. And I think she's doing something very, very good now where she's doing her photo shoot right now, which looks pretty good. And I chat with her from time to time and I tell her about what I like about her stunts and all of what stuff that she does. She's totally unique too also. And she's just living her best life. So kudos to you. So Ba Ling, if you're watching, there's your review, baby. I love you. So check it out. So Gene Generation from my Tokyo Ghoul Shock collection. Totally badass. All right, guys. So rounding out this long review, we going over some of the stuff. I remember I was going to get this. This is my total action for my war stuff, because somebody was asking me, do I do any war stuff? Yes, I do war stuff too. Also, and I do also have a Westerns collection. But for right now, we're doing this. So, guys, this has been a long live. So, tutorial for is my overall sci-fi, fantasy, and action adventure. Keep in mind, this is part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 up next. Guys, click that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. And let's talk about some movies that you kind of grew up on a kid, as we went to the drive-in to see as a kid, or what you're collecting, or what you're doing as your theme shelf. And let's talk about some movies. I'm an independent film director myself, as I stated earlier, and I'm working on my own short film called Uncharted. And my love for films never did stop. And I kind of wanted to just bring for the forefront all of the favorite features that I did like, and that I predominantly in my collection. Just like any other collector that's out there, y'all guys are really collecting stuff that y'all like. And I just want to leave a message out for you guys that are up and coming collectors, or just wanted to just get into collecting, and then what to collect and how to collect. I just want to tell y'all guys, just do you, collect what you like. Don't worry about buying everything. Just start your collection off of the features that you like. 'Cause this is how I got started. I just only have what I like in here. I'm not the type of collector that collects everything and has to have every movie, because that's the case, we'd be here for 28 days, because I have a collection downstairs. You guys see my first wheel that I did on my theater room. Well, I had upgraded. I'm about to upgrade it again and add more stuff. I'm about to add more media shelves and different things to it. So, yeah, guys, I just wanted to show y'all what I like, and bring to y'all some of the things, the features that I do like, and I also do double features in here. Like I say, stay tuned for part 2 coming up next of Sci-Fi Action Adventure, but that one will be just only action adventure, because I already covered sci-fi already. Sci-fi fantasy. So this one would be action adventure. The two genres always are on my shelf connected together, because sometimes action adventure spills over into sci-fi fantasy. So you may have fantasy adventure, you may have action adventure, and the two genres kind of always meet. But on my shelf, I have 2 different types of shelves where the genres do connect. So I have a shelf for fantasy and a shelf for action adventure. So this is part of the war set that I do have. U-571 was always my thing. Fury, Brad Pitt was all this awesome in this. Can't say any more enough of that. And then also Full Metal Jacket was just the ultimate. Guys, I used to have Platoon on Blu-ray, but I have to get it again. I don't know what happened to it or where it went to, but Platoon will be added to this one. And then also Hamburger Hill will also be added to this one. And yes, Rambo is downstairs, but I forgot to bring his ass up here. So I do have Rambo First Blood. His ass is downstairs, so I have to bring his little monkey ass up here and get him into this whole entire collection. So yeah, UV571 was my favorite, because I'm a huge fan of submarines as I grew up as a kid. I also love submarines. So when this first came out, I was like, wow, this is totally badass. U571 was my favorite. I did have Titanic too, also on VHS. I remember watching it, but I watched it so much I was just totally over it. Ended up picking this up and just fell in love with it. It was the closest thing that I thought that was, as far as what the type of movies I love, as far as submarines, because I did want to, as a kid coming up, I did want to join the Navy and be on a submarine. And then when I found out really what it was like to be on a submarine, because I had a tour of a submarine here in Baltimore, we do have a submarine called the USS Torch. And that was a huge submarine that played a vital part in World War I and World War II. It went out several times and ended up coming back. It's still the same submarine that we do have here, which is our major submarine here. So we have showed off at our dock park at the harbor. It's right neighboring to the Constellation, which is our one warship that went out to also, which survived both World War I and World War II. So we do have a lot of history here in our city as far as stuff when it comes to war memories. And we also do have the War Museum where it features all the stuff that we do have. But yeah, we do have a submarine here that's called a USS Torch. And it's a weird machine because it looks like a shark. It's set up like a shark. And it has the teeth and everything on the front of it. And then that thing was bad. It went out and it destroyed it. It carried a major payload of different missiles that it did have inside, and it had a large crew, and it does have a payload of destruction. I'll leave it that way because it was the ultimate submarine. Brad Pitt and Fury. My love for tanks. So this is why these three are here. And I'll tell you briefly on this because this live is really, really going on. And my love for tanks too also. I love the Sherman tank when it first came out. I was always interested in it. And like I said, I always wanted to be in a commander myself and a squadron of tanks and stuff like that because I also do love the tanks and submarines were my thing. And then, especially the 50 cal. I mean, it was just like total badass thing. You just jump on that 50 cal and just let it loose. I mean, that thing, bullets are flying everywhere. And I think Brad Pitt delivered on this because he inspired me for my love of it. And because of that, I was like, wow, I kind of let go of my love for tanks and submarines and just kind of just let somebody else do it. And found my passion of just being a film director. Moving over to Full Metal Jacket. When this came out, this is my rifle and this is my gun. This is for pleasure and this is for fun. So when this came out, I was like, okay, I'm totally over it. And I think they were making a standpoint as to these guys just having this different problems and stuff like that in the military. And it was a staple in this. And it was almost like a documentary in a way because it also shed light on those who had different sorts of problems psychologically in the units and what could happen when command goes a little too far and certain soldiers predominantly can't take pressure like that. And then with me growing up in a military family, I understand that because my uncles and all are generals and commanders, and like I said, I grew up in a military family and I had military training myself. And I understand a lot about what it means to serve and what it means to be ready at all times in case of emergency and to protect the home front. My younger brother, I talked him into going into the Navy. He's now also head of his class. So shout out to my brother, Marcus. And I'm totally proud of him because he went all the way through the ranks and he has more decorations on his chest than I can count. So I'm pretty much proud of him. So yeah, guys, we just pretty much moved through the ranks and some of the features that I do have and the stories of why these features are here. Like I said, Hamburger Hill and Platoon will be coming out next here, and they will be here on Blu-ray. So they will be lined up next to my favorite features. So wow, guys, we went to the entire selections together. So this is what I have total all together in one big bundle that we totally went over, and it was totally badass because from left to right we all did a lot of things too also. And then of course this second collection was brought out to you also with my massive Doctor Who collection, which I will be adding more to you also. So that made it to you also in here, so we can't leave out the Doctor. Send for the Doctor, quick. So, and that was the total ultimate badass. And then we also had Home Fires. Like I said, y'all guys get a chance, y'all guys got to check this out. It's totally intriguing. The cast is totally badass, and it just offers a lot. When you talk about war and stuff like that, like I was mentioning earlier, like I said, it hits home pretty much a lot, and this shows you what kind of problems people have and how they deal with it, and then come together when wartime is imminent. And they protected the home front, and this is totally badass. Like I said, it reminds me of World War and everything else because, like I said, growing up in a military family, I understand what it means to serve. And my hat's off to all those guys. Simplify and keep it moving. And Home Fires delivers. So guys, thank you all for checking out this long, intense review of my sci-fi, fantasy, action, and adventure. And for those who served, thank you for your service. And for those who checked out my review and like what I do, feel free to leave me some comments. Let's talk about some movies that you like and that movies that that you're watching. And we'll totally get into things, and we move on to part 2 of all of what's going on. And thank y'all guys for watching. And as always, click that like button and subscribe. And I'll see y'all on the second part of just action adventure here from Popcorn and Gore. Peace.